Hello, ladies and gents! After another exhausting week, finally it's Friday once again, so that means let's ace another tank together. Now last time we had a tank destroyer on the show in the form of the Object 704, so this time around we will mix it up a little with some heavy tank action, as I recently also aced the Oni as well. Now this is of course the Tier 7 Japanese Heavy, which just like its brothers was a blueprint only machine. So unfortunately there won't be an article about it on the wartime blog. Now of course you will still have something to read, as I just published an article earlier today on the most successful female sniper ever, which is definitely worth a read. If you want to go and check it out, the link is in the description below. Now before we get started, let's just have a really quick look at the armor profile of this steel behemoth. The Japanese heavies are infamous for their thick armor that simply doesn't work. Or better to say that it mostly works against lower tiered and or less experienced players only if they don't use premium rounds. Now that's of course because of the armor profile that includes so many weak spots that it's just simply impossible to hide them all. When facing one of these brutes frontally, the mid plate only takes about 180mm of pen to go through. The mini turrets only require 175 if you hit them head on. And next to the gun, straight at the front of the turret, barely 200mm will be enough. And if you hit the smoke cupola on top, you will only face 150mm worth of armor. Now if you angle the machine, they can still shoot you in the mini turrets, unchanged 175mm head on, and now they can also shoot you in the cheeks of the hull, which now have 180mm of armor only. Get the enemy to shoot your sides though when you angle well, and you are in business. The 70mm of side armor means that you won't be overpenned even by the largest of guns, and the large spaced armor over the tracks helps a lot as well. Alright, that's about enough with the boring stuff. Let's talk a bit more about the machine while I bring the Oni to a rather unorthodox location. Check this out! Alright, so here we are in our Oni, this time around in a standard battle on El Haluf. Well, this will be the perfect map to demonstrate the famous Japanese heavy tank tactic. Drive towards the enemy with your front pointing towards them at all times, and don't stop until they are all dead. Well, alright, maybe it's a little bit more complicated than that, but, well, when we are talking about big stupid heavy tanks, the Japanese heavies fit the picture quite nicely. They are stupidly huge targets for the enemy, and their armor, while on paper it's actually really good, it doesn't seem to work that well in reality, and that's because, as we discussed at the beginning of the video, it's riddled with weak spots, and we will see how ineffective it can be even against lower tiered opponents. But until we make our way slowly towards the A1A2 zone, which is the usual brawling spot, let's have a quick look at the matchmaking. Now we are not top tier, but this is actually not half bad. Only about a third of the teams are tier 8s, so we are still a fairly strong tank in this matchup. Now, by the way, I didn't even realize how fat the OI is. Jesus, look at that. It's almost the same tank, only somebody squeezed the OI from the sides and got a slimmer but much taller heavy tank. So, the Oni. You have basically a choice between two guns. You have the usual dirt gun that you so much loved on the OI, and this time around you also have yourself a 105mm regular tank gun, which I would highly suggest using on this machine. So until you unlock it, use the dirt gun, as you used to already, but when you unlock the top gun, as we casually snipe the Comet, a really lucky shot by the way, with 0.4 meters dispersion, I definitely suggest changing to this gun. 190mm of penetration and 330 damage will be a lot more reliable if you can find yourself some targets that you can penetrate. Now this thing will struggle at shooting at, for example, tier 8 heavy tanks frontally, But luckily in this matchup there is only a 1-1-2 which could give us trouble, and the rest we should be able to penetrate even with the standard rounds. By the way, this machine has upgraded AP rounds as its premium ammunition, which is a bit exceptional. It's not a huge drawback, however, as even the standard AP rounds have actually quite good shell velocity. As we did see also before, one of the reasons why we were able to hit that bulldog was because we have over 900 meters per second base shell velocity, which allows for really nice snapshots, like this one as well. By the way, now this is usually not a place where you see a Japanese heavy tank go. It's not unreasonable though. The reason why I was going here is because, well, all of our top tier heavies are facing off their heavy tanks who are in a really dug-in position. And I really didn't feel like trying to snipe and play peekaboo on the opposite corner. Sniping with this gun at a relatively far distance is usually not the way to go. It's really inaccurate, and the 0.4 meter dispersion is only when you are fully aimed, and it will take over 3 seconds to fully aim this gun, so it's not really the quickly popping out, popping back type of playstyle that this machine prefers. Jumping on poor little bulldogs, however, now that's a different matter entirely. So I came here. I actually have 10 degrees of gun depression on this machine. For that to be realistic, I have to turn the turret a little bit to the left or to the right to avoid those mini turrets in the front that will block my depression a little bit. However, if I do this to the sides, I have quite nice depression. Now have a look at this. That Panther is capable of shooting me over and over and over again, penetrating standard AP shells really reliably. And that guy is a tier 7 medium tank. So, that says a lot about this armor. Now I was trying to come up behind these guys, however, actually 3 tanks jumped on me. At close quarters, suddenly the armor started to work, as they were not aiming for the weak spots anymore. I guess they were a little bit panicking. This heavy tank to come around the corner. So we managed to bounce 4 shots in a row, which is a great result. Now going downhill is probably the fastest we will go in this match. We have a 25 km/h top speed and a below 12 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio, so yeah, this tank will not close the distance quickly at all. However, finding yourself a juicy target and biting huge chunks out of it is what this tank is really good at. We are already at 3600 damage, and we are definitely not done yet. Now something that's really important with this machine: you have to constantly close the distance to the enemy and make sure that, well, first of all, that your flanks are secure, and also that you only engage one enemy at a time. You did see what happened there when 3 tanks jumped on us at the same time. When we are in control, however, and that by the way was a really lucky shot on the move, so when you are in control and you are able to limit the amount of enemies that can shoot you to 1, then you are in a really strong position in these tanks. Now a bit of a bounce there from the turret of the FV, but as he stays still, we can easily snipe the cupola from point blank range. That's exactly, by the way, where you want to keep back and forth even when you are in a hold down position. As Su-122-44, dangerous opponent. He pops back behind the ridgeline, so we can keep on advancing. I think about here getting a shot on either of these guys, but they are all gunners, so now it's down to the SU and a GW Panther who hasn't been spotted the entire match so far. Oh, SU comes around. Nice attempt, my friend, but not sneaky enough. One good shot into him, and then our friends finish him off. hopefully we got a little bit of spotting damage out of it as well. Now it would be really nice to get the kill in the GW Panther as well. However, let's be realistic. It hasn't been spotted until now, and if he would have been on top of that ridgeline, where they usually are, then the IS-3 would have long spotted him. So most probably he went towards the waterline to try to wait it out. It's almost impossible to get the last kills in this machine, so I go for the safer option and go and collect some capping points. Well, turns out he didn't exactly drop down, but we would not have gotten him in time anyway, so capping was the right decision to do. So that's what it looks like when a Japanese heavy actually works as intended. A rare occurrence indeed. Ace tanker, high caliber and Confederate. Not bad at all from an overweight bruiser. Now looking at the team results, I was really happy with that well over 4000 damage and a close to 1600 base XP in a T-rate match. I might not look back fondly at my time with the Oni, but at least my last match in it was a good one. And last but not least, we fired 17 shots in total, 16 of which hit and 14 of them penetrated as well. Our armor did work out just fine as well, blocking 8 out of the 15 hits received and negating close to 2000 damage. And since we didn't have to fire a single premium round this time around, we closed the match with over 53,000 credits net profit. Right, this was then my ace tanker game and a few pointers about the Oni, the Japanese Tier 7 heavy tank. I hope you found this little video useful, and if you did, thanks a lot for considering giving this a like or sharing it. Now there is still more content coming your way this week with some high damage rounds in the Centurion 7-1 and the E25 over the weekend, and I even have a surprise for you for Sunday that I believe quite a few of you will appreciate. As for now, however, let me already wish you an excellent weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again next week as well.